right, so we have some TV stuff to talk about, right? Ricardo, you will fill me in on SNL UK. I
Yeah,
honestly, honestly, this is actually the first time I'm hearing about this. Never heard about this before. I
correct.
didn't see anything about it on social media, specifically Facebook. Then afterwards, we will talk about the third season of Primal, which I didn't even know was out till like about a month or so ago when I
Right.
think it was IGN put up the like a review of a specific episode of the first three episodes or whatever. So I was like, wait,
Right.
this thing's start back? Okay. Wow. All right,
Yeah.
right. So we'll jump into that after your talk about SNL UK. And then we'll
Right.
close this video off with a similarly violent animated series called Invincible. And
Right.
as usual when it comes to their rollout, yeah, they put out the first three episodes of this brand new season. That will be season 4. So we will talk about these three episodes. Now we'll keep things spoiler free, right? So I guess if anything, when it comes to when the full season is out, then we could get into spoilers, right? But yeah, Ricardo, take it away. SNL UK, what is that about?
Right. So yeah, there was promoting this for a while. I have my own speculations of why it is that this exists in the way it does, especially who's running it, and it is run by an American, Tina Fey. She's kind of headlining the show. She's like the lawn for the show, and I've always speculated for ages that if it's anybody who has to take over from Lawn, it would be her. And I get the feeling that this might be the test kitchen for some of that. But it's great. Basically, it's a while we haven't had a good like British sketch comedy show, right? It had some classics back in the days. Goodness Gracious Me is probably the most popular of the bunch. I forget the one that was more black oriented. Um, but it's just really really good British comedy. And the big shocking thing about SNL UK over uh, SNL, well, the US is profanity, right? It's a lot more, R-rated. It's allowed to be like not because not on network television the same way it's on Sky, and so
Right.
it's more like a cable television or the more cable, basic cable approach to it. So yeah, you get some profanities, some c words, and some f words dropping,
Okay,
and
okay. I thought it was just gonna limit itself to just like, wanker and
nope,
bollocks
no,
and
no, no,
stuff.
no, 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 seriously, yeah. And I said, given how you might have a big switch up in terms of like where, especially with streaming and how network television going to move on and how stuff evolving in certain ways. Like, there's a lot of big changes happening in the industry because of like, well, the Oscars going to be very soon going to go to YouTube, for example. Or I think Access Hollywood cancels. Like all the network television stuff, it's starting to dry up and had a rehaul in terms of its structure with the new world now, especially the nature of the internet and how expensive certain things are, and these people they're really not really worth their cost now. And the audience dying out. That's just the reality of it. It's numbers, right? It's maths. But so SNL UK is an interesting dimension because it's like, okay, where SNL going to be in the next, just like you don't want to go too far, the 5 to 10 years. And yeah, Tina Fey just kind of this headlining this thing, and SNL UK, a bunch of really great up and kind of stuff coming, comedians, and then that format and how you're going to make it work. And I could see SNL becoming like a kind of basic cable aesthetic, or kind of like how Sirius satellite radio was, like where that went, and how like where Howardson evolved into. Howardson was like basic like radio, public radio. He stayed on public radio for the most part, but what we know him for is really his serious satellite material later. And that one just grew up and moved with him, right? And it's like that. That's how it is feeling. And it's genuinely funny. I thought it was like really, really well done. A lot of great sketches, a lot of great bits in it. They have some of this good British stuff. And it's a talented cast. I don't know any of the comedians. I don't know. I can't like name them off the top of my head. But I'm sure I'll become familiar with them if I keep watching. And yeah, I just think this was worth mentioning. As I say, I just think this is the test kitchen for when Lorne eventually has to either retire or passes away. And I think it's effectively easing Tina Fey into it. That's what I think is going on. That's no speculation. I don't know for sure. Right? It's just common sense. My common sense approach to this. Right? At least what it feels like common sense. Right? Yeah, that's it. I just worth mentioning. It just on my radar, and just I thought it was actually pretty funny and well done.
All right, well, before we move on to Primal, two things. How many episodes are out? And I'm afraid to ask this, right? But were there like any musical guests, or is it just like
Yeah,
straight
yeah,
sketches?
it's something my was musical guest. I can't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, it was just the first episode. First episode now start. We just it not. I just thought as our first episode was pretty good, and again, I just glad we haven't had Yeah, we haven't had a good like British stand-up, British live, sketch comedy show in a hot minute. For me,
Mm.
and it's like, oh, okay, I wonder where it's going or where it's doing for what it is. So it's just that. So I try to remember what the other sketch comedy show. I always remember Goodness Gracious Me, but what was the
Me
other
too.
one? But off the top of my God, it's something of my mind. That was like a kind of black British show, but it was more Bayesian and a lot of Bayesian influence was into that. Oh gosh, it'll
Oh,
come to me. Well,
what was it on local TV? But trying
no,
to.
that's the thing. It never thing. The only reason I knew about it is because of actual Bajans. I had
Oh,
friends who's
okay.
Bajans, and they used to talk about it.
Hmm.
I was like, oh yeah, right. I kind of remember that show. But it's slipping my mind right now.
Okay.
Whatever.
It'll come to you at some point in time, right? But yeah,
Right, whatever.
yeah.
But yeah. It's a while we haven't had a good British, sketch comedy show. Well, the big one is obviously Monty Python back in
Of
these.
course, yeah.
But okay, I think it's Real McCoy. I think Real
All right.
McCoy. That's what I remember.
Hmm.
Yeah, and he had like some really funny stuff like Mitchell Webb and them. So it's a while we haven't had a good like funny just a sketch. You do a sketch, make a show, run with it, and just really really good British comedy. And this new crapper guys, they're really genuinely funny. I really like a lot of this. So it's interesting that Tina Fey, headlining it as it is.
All right. Well, I will look into that because that sounds very very intriguing. That could be like the what you alluded to, right? The next step, like logical step in terms of SNL's longevity, right? Because yeah, it don't have to just stay in New York for the rest of its
I
existence, right?
mean,
It can
you,
move to
you,
other countries,
you,
right?
no, you'll always have a version of New York. That's why I think where it evolving is where it would it be on network television, like in terms
Right,
of that new
right, right.
industry.
Mhm.
Again, is more or less the structural nature of the entertainment industry, especially in the United States, having I think a lot of big changes and shakeups, right, for better or for worse, right? All of this stuff with who buying out who and whatever, but really like stuff that just and I mentioned this earlier with Access Hollywood, just like some big switch ups because like yeah, the audience dying and the format dying. So it's like where it could be and whatnot. So we go see.
Yeah, yeah. We certainly will. All right, so let us talk about the third season of Primal, right? Now, here's the
Yep.
thing about it, right? In my head, seeing how the second season ended, I
Right.
really
I thought it was
thought
done.
that was it, Like, I
I was
really
it.
thought
Yeah,
so.
yeah, exactly.
And
But like, I should be super surprised given the nature of the world that the show is like. Okay, that not like given what we see up to that point, it's not too far fetched as to what the big thing is in this season.
Exactly. Yes, yes,
Right,
yes. Which I will touch on because I will do like a brief like summary of the whole season, right?
right.
Now, Ricardo, you told me off air that you did not see the finale,
Yes.
which dropped
Yeah,
last night, the
unfortunately,
time of
I
us
did.
recording
Yeah,
this.
I don't. I 'cause in my head, I thought it only had 9, but I was like, oh, it's coming out next week, so we doing it. I ain't really sure, but it was more my slip of the mind. So I did not see
That's
the
fine.
finale. Yeah, so I saw 9 episodes, so I saw up to the finale.
Yeah.
I see the finale. Yeah,
So
okay.
so I will not spoil the finale, but I will still talk
Right.
about the full season and how I feel about it, right? So for me, no, just as a jump into it, right, it's a great thing that I recap the second season because yeah, I just had to refresh my memory. 'Cause I think it was like what no 3 to 4 years ago since we talked about season two, right? I remember we talk about it like first half and second half, right? Which I mean the whole season we thoroughly enjoyed. The show itself we absolutely love, right? And I am happy to report, just before I jump into the synopsis, right, that this season, like the show is still going strong, man. I mean, this
Right.
is legit, probably, in my opinion, the best show on Adult Swim right now. This is coming from somebody
Yeah,
who don't
yeah.
even tune into Adult Swim anyway, right? Or even watch Cartoon Network to begin with, right?
Yeah, no, it's just good. I just really enjoyed it for just good visual storytelling. Look,
Yes. Mhm.
Tartakovsky's cook. Like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
everything he do is cook since
I,
since the days of Dexter, and his silent stuff is the best stuff.
yes,
Like when
yes,
it's time
yes.
for him to like this little Jesus, just all in the universe, just sound and that's it. And it really, really works. Really, really works. Like, but he had a couple of Samurai Jack episodes that absolute cook. Symbiotic
Yes,
Titan,
yes.
real cook with.
Mhm.
The one he did, I forget. The third one he did recently that kind of didn't work.
Oh,
But
right.
it's a
There was
shame.
a Netflix movie. I heard
Right,
bad things about it, so I didn't bother.
right,
Something with talking dogs or something like that. Yeah.
right. But it's a damn shame he never get. Like, listen, I'm just kind of mad that he didn't bring him back to Star Wars. Like to this day,
I
his
know,
Star Wars
right?
is still some of my favorite Star Wars ever. But yeah, when the man cooking, and this I find this show in particular, especially that first season. Really excellent stuff.
Yes, yes,
Just
yes.
as
That
characters, just emotions and reaction and shot, counter shot, what's called a cooler shot effect stuff with the editing.
mhm.
Pure emotion and it just visual and he make it work. Can't be mad at any of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, this season I find is pretty good too. Like again, as I say, I thought the show done because well, at the end of season 2 he dies,
Yes.
and then but then seeing all these little mystical chicanery that we saw prior, it's like, all right, well they're bringing him back. Like okay, cool. Here's how.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I didn't watch a single trailer or anything like that. I just went because I
Neither
didn't
me.
know it came back.
Yeah.
I didn't know it come back. Somebody, algorithm failed me. I didn't know it came back, and somebody had to tell me it came back. I think it's you mentioned it or something like that.
I did. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, oh shit, this show come back. That kind of pissed me off a little bit. And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, all right, wood. This is what we're doing. All right, wood.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
and
No.
make it work.
No. No. Here's the thing, right? Now you already mentioned Samurai Jack, right? And I mean, I
Right.
think I mentioned before when I talk about season 2 or season 1 of Primal, right? I'll never forget there was this one Samurai Jack episode with Jack being snowblind, and he was like trying to get at this particular tower, and there were like these Anubis like dog looking archers, and he just
Yep.
had to kind of move past them. Like that is to me is like a goated episode of Samurai Jack, right?
Yeah.
One of the best episodes, right? But as you mentioned, Dexter's Laboratory, right? Even though it is not entirely devoid of dialogue, right? One episode I will never forget though, where I feel like Jendi was honing that craft with the visual storytelling, was that dodgeballs episode, right? You know what I talk about. You know
Right.
the dodgeball episode, right?
Dexter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where it's like barely any dialogue, and it's just about Dexter trying to avoid getting ass wash. I think that was where he started honing his craft, and this is before he did Clone Wars. So yeah, you could tell this man was doing this shit for a long, long, long while, right? But it's a good thing you bring up Dexter's Laboratory. I clean forget that. Yeah, this man was doing this for a hot minute, right? But yeah, as I say, jumping into the season here, right? Yeah, Spear died, right? And what's interesting too, right? So this is a minor spoiler, right? The guy who killed him, right? Because in season 2, it was this Viking leader who came back, and this was after Spear and basically the Viking guy, right? Like his group were a bunch of slavers, and they captured Mira, right? Who was this yeah, and I love how season 2 kind of touched on this African girl though. I'm like, okay, because they didn't really make it specifically clear until like the last couple episodes that she is African, right? Because where Spear dies is in her home village, right? But Viking guy coming, and this is after Spear and Fang, OG fan favorite character Fang, right? The T-Rex, right? Yeah, just wipe out these Vikings who are attacking a village, right? And homie shows up, see his wife dead because Fang like fucked her up so bad, like wow, like legit bad. And he and his son went on this, like they went on this path of vengeance to find them, right? But unfortunately, the son died first, and then he died afterwards. But then the show, just going back to the mysticism stuff, right? That he went, let me just say, the Norse equivalent of Helena. So this particular devil character gave him these fire powers, so he became like this fire golem character. But one thing I was thinking about in this new season, I thought it was going to come back to him, but I remember at the very end, he was brought back to hell because they kind of set this up early on where you saw the Viking leader and his son, and they said this particular Norse word, I forgot the name of it, right? But the idea is that it's vengeance, it's revengeness. So the whole point of this is that because he succeeded in it, because he was able to kill Spear, his soul was sent back to hell. The same devil spirit pretty much took him back now. So he didn't show back up in this season. In my head I was like, okay, I wonder if he'll come back though. They did mention him like visually a few times, but like no, he does not come back at all because he did what he had to do. That was the point. He was supposed to go back to Earth to kill Spear. He did what he had to do, and that was it. The end, right? So through some circumstances which I will not spoil, but yes, it involves magic, right? Spear is resurrected Dread, and he literally is a zombie caveman. And throughout the season, he is starting, he pretty much had to start back from scratch, right? He had to learn about the world, he had to learn about how to survive, he had to learn how to fight, how to scrap, all these things, right? But at the same time, he's remembering Fang. He barely remembers the two children that Fang had, right? But he more remember Fang, and he just kind of goes out looking for her, right? And basically, I love the fact that he is like they pretty much keep the entire narrative pretty much in Africa, right? Because there's like a lot of like, planes and all that kind of stuff that, very like the visuals like very equivalent to like what you would see when it comes to like African, landscapes and stuff like that, right? So yeah, he is pretty much just walking like he's a zombie, right? So he just walking, trying to figure out his way, right? And yeah,
Right.
through some circumstances, he runs into Fang, he runs into the kids, and he runs into Mira as well, right? And if you remember from the last season, the finale of that, because she wanted to keep Spear's legacy alive, yeah, she kind of, bang him like, last bit before he give
Right.
out his last breath, right? So she is pregnant now, right? So, and you see what happens from that point on, right? But just to wrap up the synopsis, it's just basically about Spear rediscovering and reclaiming his humanity. That's really what it is, right? And how it happens and where it all leads up to the finale, which I absolutely won't spoil. It's just like, yeah, boy, like this is like the reboot of Spear, if you will, right? But just done in this very fantastical but still very grimy, very brutal, very primal kind of way, right? Which, yeah, I mean, has always been the MO of the show from day one, right? But yeah, Ricardo, even though you didn't see the finale, right? Just them 9 episodes. Yeah, what were you thought about the season?
Yeah, that was great. I was just watching. It evolved itself again. Just the silent storytelling is the seller. This, you're following everything from just imagery and good editing, and then I was enjoying most of it. And then we get to episode 9, and I started loving it. Right, with all of the repeated fights, where you had to go through this like a kind of tournament of sorts. Not really a tournament. He was like, I'm forgetting the guy wanted to like keep him in control, but like he always wanted to also seduce him. But like he gained back all his memories, and we see him get back the lights of his eyes and get back his irises, so he gain more and more human. And
Yeah.
then they just go through
Also
the
at the
series
same
of
time, he keeps like he has
scratching.
this. Sorry, he has this crown with him. So it's like,
Yeah,
oh, you
the
want
holocron,
yeah,
right?
you want to be this king. You want to rule us.
Right,
You had to
the
keep
holocron.
proving
Yeah,
your worth. You had to keep fighting these people.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that stuff, and that editing was great. Mostly because of the action. It's like, oh shit, they're real hard here. But I thoroughly loving it so far. Unfortunately, I kind of annoyed that I'm missing finale. But yeah, I really dug the hell out of this for what it was doing.
All right. So about that episode 9, right? Without spoiling much, there's a kill, right, where a character gets his cap bitten off.
Yeah, for real.
I rewind that shit like dog.
That was
Like
clean.
you dog cap on the cap in
And
your trailer.
he knew
What?
the God, because like piece of his head is missing, so he do the exact same way. Though.
Yeah, boy. I'm like, what is this trend?
Yeah,
So
that's
like,
it.
listen, like I call this right now, right? I mean, I know they have other TVMA shows, like rated TVMA for violence, right? But I could honestly say that Primal, along with Invincible, is one of the most violent like animated
Yeah,
shows
for
out
real.
right now, boy. Like just,
Right.
but especially in this season, boy, just the level of brutality when it comes to these kills, boy. And I love that it's framed around zombie spear, right? And at first, when the
Right.
season started, I was like, I don't know if this could work, But somehow it does. I love how creative they get with, hey, it's a zombie caveman and he's learning about himself, but at the same time, it have a moment where like yes, his brain is exposed. It have a really genuinely dark but funny moment where his liver comes out and he has to
Yeah.
put it back in. Like all these little moments actually work, right? As I also mentioned too, right? This is a show that prides itself on how much growls and yells and screams that characters give, right? There's a lot of rah that happens literally in every single episode of this, right? Whether it's Fang or whether it's Spear, right? I love that even in zombie mode, like he is still yelling at the camera. He's still
Right.
yelling at his, his attackers and stuff like that, right? One thing about this season though, like compared to the last one, like I felt like with the last season, it was more about like tribes and armies, right? It was more about human beings and just the different classes and different races and stuff like that, right?
Right.
Very Conan the Barbarian inspired, right? This one, is very much about like animals, boy, and just like creepy creatures,
Right.
boy. Like case in point, there's an episode that's legit.
No, I think
What? There's an episode.
I think it's episode 9 self or 8. I think is the one where Fang fought this kind of black like
Or like a panther. Yeah,
a
yeah.
Black
I think
Panther.
it's
Yeah,
I think it's episode 9. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I watched this
That's a
like
great fight too.
that was a great fight too. And
Hmm.
one thing about this season there, like mad points. Sorry, to just the inventiveness when it comes to the creature design, right? Because
Yeah,
yes, it's still in a prehistoric kind of era. So you would see like dogs, for example, but the way how the design look very different. Like at first I was watching the dogs because yeah, there's like about 3 episodes dedicated to like this band of dogs who just literally grab humans by the mouth and put them into this pit. And there's a mother who grabs like 3, 4 of them and she mouth. That was like real stupid actually, right? But yeah, like at first I was wondering if they were like feral pigs or something like that because they had like something that looked like Tusner, but like no, they actually dogs because they were barking and stuff like that, right? But yeah, when it came to the panther itself, like his eyes were glowing and you don't even explain it to her, but that's what I love about the show, right? Because it has this kind of like it fits itself in this weird sort of like fantasy, like adventure kind of pocket, right? So yes, these characters, these creatures are real, but sometimes they could be demons or fantastical or something like that, right? That's something that they always done, right? But yeah, there's legit an episode where swear to God, Spear finds himself in a The Descent like situation where he is in a cave, in a pit, and there are these like cannibalistic humanoids though, and they're
yeah,
trying to get at him, right? Swear to God, the moment where the first one is revealed, legit make me jump us. Because
yeah,
this is
yeah, yeah.
fucker
No,
like
that's a good. That's
biting
a
the
good.
man
Yeah.
leg, like chewing at
Mhm.
it. I jump at that, because of how they
You know.
show it. Again, just the visual storytelling is just on point, right? Just what Jenny wants you to see, and when it comes up as well, too, right? On the subject of that, though, the music still great. Tyler Bates, Joanne Higginbottom, yeah, great score. Again, it's pulling from 300, and I mean Tyler Bates work on 300, right? But yeah,
Right.
but they make it fit, in this world because it's very grandiose and over the top, but very dark and very grim as well too, right? But yeah, back to Spear though. I did not expect that I would enjoy Zombie Spear so much, but it absolutely works. So I just love these little moments where he reclaims his humanity, right? Where he kind of learns to speak, where he understands about survival, where he understands about like family. And without spoiling much, that final episode like legit got to me though. You know what I mean? Almost close to Mantis though. But what I would say is that it touched on the family dynamic that him and Mira and the others have, right? And just how far they're willing to go to just protect each other. Though. That legit really got to me, right? The animation, of course, is great across the board. It's really just that visual storytelling and absolutely works. The sound design is great. Spear and Fang, just great characters. Fang is just such a badass, though. You know what I mean? I just always love a character, right? And then they see more of the kids here, you know what I mean? And that absolutely work as well. They are great characters, right? There's even some like genuine moments of heart, genuine moments of humor as well too. So it's not all dark and grimy, right? But at the same time, yes, it is very brutal, right? The kills, you know what I mean? And especially due to the fact that it's a lot of like animal on animal violence or human on animal violence, right? But it's within the world of Primal, right? So you can let it slide, right? So yeah, there's a lot of like blood and like torn flesh and guts and stuff like that, right? But it works to it. It absolutely works with the show's theme of like survivor. Like if you are put in this position, what do you do? You just give up, or you just keep on fighting. Like what do you do, right? Again, legit, a character gets his cap removed, right? You know what I mean? That's what it's about, right? And yeah, this season totally worked for me, right? If I could just give like one minor gripe about the final episode before I wrap up here, right? It does something very clever where it recalls something that happens at the final episode of season 2.
Right.
And what I'll say without spoiling anything is that it hints at the possibility. Then again, I said this with season 2. It hints at the possibility that this could be the end of the show. And what I
Right.
should say, like I don't know what Jenny is up to, right? I don't know what he has in store, right? But legit, this could like that season 3 finale could be the end. I could be happy with
Right.
that. I think it ends on a fantastic note, right? But because it recalls the second season now, it kind of hints at something that could potentially happen later on. Like without spoiling anything, like I feel like the show could go on just a little bit longer, right? Just given the little thing that happens in the end of this episode of that finale, right? It's so well done though. It's so clever, right? But it's just the open endedness of it all that I think really, really works here, right? But yeah, as you can tell, I absolutely love the season here. I think that the just the idea of showing a zombie spear reclaim his humanity absolutely works as well.
Yeah.
Just where they took the characters as well too, totally worked for me, right? Yes, it's more fantastical than the last season, but I mean, since the first season, there was always teasing about the fantastical, right? About the mystical, about magic and stuff like that, right? And if I just have one tiny, tiny, tiny little gripe, though, at times the magic stuff kind of exists to just, how to say, like, I'm not saying like there's not a working logic behind the magic, right? But there's a couple times where it's like, but wait, but if that work here, how come it didn't work there, whatever it is, right? Without spoiling anything, right? But it's like one of those. Listen, it's primal, it's fantasy anyway. Don't overthink it. It's not about the magic. It's really about the characters and how they are dealing with the situation. That's what matters. You don't have to question too much of the logic, right? So yes, you have to suspend your disbelief just a little bit here, even though this is a show which, yeah, I mean, you have to suspend the disbelief anyway, right? So yeah, rating wise, light to decent, 4.5 out of 5, man. This is gonna be in my best of as far as TV shows go for the year. Absolutely love this season. And last but not least, again, I don't know if we're gonna get a season 4. I would love if we get a season 4, to be honest, right? But the way how this season ended, especially how it recalls something that happened in the end of season 2, yeah, I think that could be the end right there. And I could just move on with my life and, or just say, wait until all 3 seasons come out on Blu-ray, and I buy that shit in a heartbeat, right? But yeah, if you've been enjoying the show, you'll love the season. If you never got on board, yeah, now's a good time though. But yeah, be forewarned that this is not for the faint of heart, especially when it comes to just the level of violence that you see here. Again, like I said, this is probably one of the most violent adult animated shows you will see out there, right? But the violence is absolutely, absolutely justified, right? Yes, it is gratuitous, but it is totally justified in my opinion, right? But yeah, talk about just taking the premise of this show and just exploring it in very fascinating and very creative ways, man. So yeah,
Right.
job well done, JND. Keep doing your thing. Can't wait for the next season if we do get one. So Ricardo, just based off the 9 episodes that you saw, yeah, your final thoughts on it.
9. I don't know if I see 10, I'll call it 10. But yeah, this is excellent for me. This is up there with the last season of Samurai Jack, or well, any season of Samurai Jack, to be honest. But it just I thought it's really good. It's him in top form, and I was surprisingly engaged in all of this because thinking, oh well, it done the, and then like we get more, and they actually tell a really engaging narrative and story, and it had me roped in. So yeah, right. So far, 9 out of 10. This definitely probably gonna make it in my top 10 of the year.
Yeah, so let's keep the family friendly animated entertainment going strong, man. Let's talk about the first 3 episodes of Invincible season 4, and as was already established, I would say not even season 2, but like literally the series premiere of the show, right? It really sucks to be invincible, though. It sucks to be
Different.
Mark. And
Yeah.
one thing that I really started to like about the show, but then at the same time, I was like, why did this do this to the poor man? Is like he would have his own situation to deal with, right? Like whether it's like with his personal life or like he have to stop a bad guy, and then like literally at the same time something else will happen or some other
Right.
thing will set up, and
Yeah,
then if somebody
they'll
else
find a
had a
thought.
yeah, and if
Yeah.
nobody available, he had to jump in, right?
Right.
But yeah,
So
boy.
they leaning on the Spider-Man aspect of the Spider-Man. It's
Yes,
amazing.
yes, yes, exactly.
Right.
You know how it sucks to be the superhero, right? With all these
Yeah.
sacrifices, right? So yeah, it really sucks to be Mark though, because at the end of season 2, he killed Angstrom. In the end of season 3, he killed
Right.
well sorry, he
Conquest.
almost killed
Didn't kill him, but
Conquest, right?
yeah.
Yeah, like
Right.
literally beat the man down, right? So yeah, he is dealing with that, but just in terms of like losing his shit and just pummeling
Right.
people to the ground until they die, right? But it's based off of what was built off of season 3, especially with the introduction of Oliver, which would be the next son of Omni-Man, right? Yeah,
Right.
where it's like you have no choice. It's either you do it, or the world is doomed, or the city is doomed, or your friends and family die, right? Like you had to just kill somebody or
Yeah,
else,
this
right?
season. Yeah,
Mm.
this season really doing the whole like it's all trolley. Somebody had an article, all trolley, no problem, and I
Mm.
don't necessarily agree with that because really the when it get into this time, it's just the psychological kind of affection. It really starting to get to him now. He
Yes,
had like
yes,
two moments. He had two moments where he could have killed. He almost killed somebody, and then he could have killed, and then he did kill somebody, and he kind of
yes.
had to. Like,
Mm.
given the fact he ran out of time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and he said they make it work for what it was. Like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like okay, that's
Certainly.
a tough situation to put him in.
True, and you
Yeah,
really really feel it for him here, right?
yeah,
Also his relationship with Eve is getting strained now, and even all that, as was established
right.
in the season 3 finale, going through her drama too, because like her powers like not stabilizing, so she will create an
All right,
object, but then it will just sort of
they-
like melt,
right.
basically. Yeah.
And I had this spoil for me of why that was happening, and well, they revealed that at the end of episode 3. So it's like,
Yes,
okay,
yes, yes. Like,
right,
the moment that happened, like I was like, oh shit. But then, like literally, like about a few minutes after I saw that, she was like, oh, well, that would explain why she can't
right,
control the
right,
powers. Oh, we
right,
won't spoil what that is, right? But yeah, so all that drama is going on, right? And then Oliver now he want to prove himself to to Mark, of course, that he can be a superhero, right? Even though he was like one of the first like heroes, associated with him to kind of let his guard down and start killing people, because and then he started thinking, oh well, he had to kill, that's the way, right? And then it just led to Mark just saying, well listen, if it comes down to that, well yeah, so be it, right? So yeah, he so all that drama going on, right? As far as the Guardians now, Cecil kind of bring them back, and they reluctantly agree to work alongside him. There's a new guy there called Britt, I believe that is his name. He's
right.
voiced from a boy, Jonathan Banks, and it took me a while to pick up where the voice came from. It's like, oh, dude from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. Oh, that dude, right? But I think this is like his introduction there, right? So yeah, the Guardians are still doing their thing, and drama ensues, and they pretty much holding the fort while Mark is dealing with his own drama, right? And of course, as I said before, life just keeps throwing things at Mark, boy. So if the Guardians not fighting one body, one bad guy, Mark had to deal with others as well, right? As far as Omni-Man now, well, we return to him and Alan the alien. So they're now hatching a plan to go after the rest of the Viltrumites, because we learned that, well, at the end of season 3, that there are not that many Viltrumites left, right? And in the
Right,
second episode, they establish how that happened. And
right.
it's kind of brilliant, but also kind of disturbing as well, too, because you get a backstory in terms of how Omni-Man became the way how he is, though. There's one
Right.
scene involving, you're
Oh,
going into adulthood, and literally, I had to spoil this, right? Slight
yeah, but
spoiler. The man
yeah,
mother come back
no
dread.
business. With
Come back,
Yeah,
cause she not
yeah,
even in the man life, eh? She
you know,
come back dread, just a washy ass dread. And
you
then
know.
like, yeah, that's why I leave both all the asses in the first place. Like, just she flat. I was like, fuck you, bitch, eh? Fuck you, eh? But yeah, that moment was hard, but then you learn what killed off a majority of the Viltrumites, and just
Right.
visually, dude, that was
Right.
like
All
so
they, all they, all they
disturbing.
need to know is all they need to know is Kryptonians, but also Krogans from Mass Effect. So
Oh yeah, yeah, for real, for real. But yeah, that was so dark, boy. That was so grim, right? But in a way, it explained why Omni-Man is the way he is, right? But yeah, long story short,
right,
now just based off of the novellas that Omni-Man was writing over the years, or aka Nolan, sorry. Yeah, him and Alan are just acquiring these weapons that they will need to take down the rest of the Viltrumites, right? And I'll stop there, right? But yeah, Ricardo, your thoughts on these first 3 episodes of season 4? How you find the
I,
show going so
I,
far?
I, I was pretty engrossed. Again, I a lot of this stuff was spoiled, but I forget. Like I kind of drop it out of my mind to not try to not remember. So when I it's like, oh yeah, right. I kind of know this information, but I enjoyed for what it was. Like it was. The second episode especially was pretty good. That's where they was hunting all the weapons or gathering all the abilities, and then the big reveal about well where the virus comes from. You find out how, and that whole thing. And it's like I would. And yeah, episode 3 pretty good as well. There's good action. They're bringing back all the characters. They bring back characters. I like I forget the guy who made a stone.
or Titan.
Ooh, Titan,
But on the
Titan, right?
subject of that though, my favorite character when it comes to the Titan arc, if you will, is Machine
Right,
Head Boy. It's something about
right, right.
how it is
Yeah,
the filter this put on the actor's voice that I love. Like shut up, like it's just make him sound robotic there. But I
right.
love that filter. Like I don't
Really,
look for
yeah,
that. I
what
look for that filter somewhere
'cause
online.
yeah, yeah, because it's a machine, but also like a kind of what's called by autotune there.
Sorry, like a vocoder. It is a vocoder
Right,
kind of
right,
voice he have. I
right.
love that. I love that. Again, I love that filter so much, man.
Yeah. So yeah, I dug this. So it was so far really engaging. Again, this show keeping my attention. Again, rule of thumb: if you really keeping my attention, it really really works. And it was like really entertaining. That's how they build it up. I think it's like solid stuff. Solid first 3 episodes.
Yeah, agreed, man. You know, not really much to talk about here, but yeah, you know, these without spoiling anything, sorry, but yeah, these 3 episodes are very very good, man. Again, but I just feel so sorry for Mark and what he goes through, and at times I really feel like the show just throwing all these situations at him, all these obstacles at him, like almost like he cannot deserve, you know, a normal quote unquote life, right? And well, seeing how the third episode ends is like, well, I don't even think that will even be possible, right? But one thing that I'm admiring this show
Right.
for doing is just kind of showing the, let me just say, like the traumatic effects of violence, or at least like exhibiting violence on someone or whatever it is, right? Can you really feel it for Mark though, like with the calls that he had to make, right, and the kills that he had to make, right? I could also say that I started to warm up even more to the idea of all these side characters and villains that just pop out of nowhere. Like there was one chick who was voiced by McGill, Denai Guerrera. Like I was hearing the voices, like where I know this voice from. It's like, oh right, Denai, right. And she just this one like warrior Amazon alien chick who just show up to acquire power. That's all I'll say without spoiling anything.
Right, right, right,
But
right,
yeah,
right.
that's what this show always is, right? You know, it's a show that will throw villains or like rehash villains that you forget about for the last season and then throw it at you, like for case in point, the sequence. I forget that, you know, one of the astronauts who came back from that planet came with sequins and, you know, stuff, you know, well,
Right, yeah.
insanity ensues because of that, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, I love how the show always maintains its focus on Mark and, well, in the case of episode 2, on, you know, Nolan and Alan and stuff like that, right? And I'm really genuinely excited to see where this story goes. I'm really curious to see how Mark and Nolan and Oliver. I really don't know, and Debbie, I should say as well. Yeah, I don't know how the family dynamic is going to be, going forward. Well, I guess you know, but I really curious to see how things
I
are going to
yeah,
play out there.
I again, as I said, I didn't. It's not like I went and look up the spoilers, but it's because of TikTok and what do you call it? Probably Facebook, but like TikTok mostly. I did these streaming things. That's like the stream. It'll put it in my feed now. Take YouTube too. And so I ended up just like watching a couple of videos that spoil stuff. But like I remember this was a thing, and like some of the big beats I suppose I remember, but I was still like generally surprised for what it was. Like it had like the second episode was pretty good. Like they had a fight with against these this race who was stronger than them, stronger than the Viltrumites, but they freeze them. So they show
Oh
the
yeah,
Viltrumites and used to do
the aliens. That was a
yeah,
good scene though. That was
yeah,
a great scene. Yeah.
yeah. Another thing, the only nitpick I had was that,
Before I forget, boy, I had it in my head to talk to you about this quickly, right? Boy, mad props for the TNG reference in that episode, boy. I watched,
oh
I was
yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, that was
I
fun.
know Ricardo was
Yeah, that
cracking
was
up
fun.
at that shit, though. That was so
Yeah, yeah,
funny,
yeah.
especially the blatantly Picard looking captain. I was like,
Yeah.
all right, sure.
It's Picard. Yeah, Picard, Worf, Troy, and Data.
Yeah, what they call data?
Yeah,
They
yeah,
call him a download, but I was like,
yeah, yeah,
really,
yeah.
Robert Kirkman, like really.
Right.
But that was funny.
But yeah,
That was really funny.
yeah. But then the race, yeah. But the two things they talk about another race that got extinct. That was the one where they dry out the planet. So they moved the planet a little closer to the sun, if I remember correctly. So that's one. But I felt they could have probably take their bones and clone them or something. I'm not sure. Whatever. Because we see that technology possible.
Yeah, I know you're talking about because it kind of felt slight spoiler, like they just abandoned that planet. Like they just came, it's like, oh, they're dead. So okay, bye. And they just left.
Right.
And
Because
without
the
spoiling
logic
much,
was like, well,
there's a
they need one of them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And without spoiling much, there's a running gag that goes on during that moment. I dare not spoil it, but yeah, how it cut to
Right.
that like almost immediately,
Yeah.
kind of just
It's a joke.
kill
It's
the
a joke that
it kill the grimness of that scene. There, it just sort of
right.
like,
But
oh,
the
that don't
joke,
matter because the joke is what matters, right? Yeah.
yeah, the joke is a joke that it is a joke that get old fast. Like you did it like once or twice, but they keep doing it. I was like, all right, that's
True,
enough.
true,
Like
true. Yeah,
I don't know,
yeah,
it
yeah.
get kind of old
Mm,
kind of fast. And
yeah.
I'll get into that with respect to like but another review getting soon. But like that's about it.
Right, right, right. And then last but not least, yeah, the fight scenes, boy. One thing I always like just admire about the show is that it feels like it's taking that DC approach. I talk about like Superman, Justice League Unlimited, right? It's taking that DC approach to fight scenes where it's characters who are pummeling each other and they are they smashing through, roads and being smashed through buildings, right? It's taking that and just adding blood to it.
Yeah,
It is literally GLU style violence, but more blood and more guts, right? And yeah, boy, this show just goes all in on that too. And yeah, you feel every punch, you feel every kick. Like it's just so visceral the when it comes to the fight scenes, right? And well choreographed, though, I must say too. Like mad props to the animators in terms of just like choreographing these fight scenes, not just punch and
yeah,
kick
yeah.
for the sake of punching and kicking.
That's
Like
the
there's
one
a
thing.
working logic to all the moves and everything, right? Yeah, it works.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the one thing. That's very improved in this season is the animation. The animation is much better than last season. Last season wasn't all that great.
Yeah,
But then
I
and then well,
noticed the step up in animation
yeah,
in this season here.
right. And then well, yeah, they introduced the big bad. He had a coming very soon. I think it's voiced by oh gosh, this boy from Guardians of the Galaxy, the villain. Lee Pace. I think it's Lee Pace is the voice.
Oh, him.
Supposed to be
Okay,
for him.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he's the big baddie for thing, and he's a great character.
yeah.
I mean,
Well, the Grand
and he
Regent,
look
the Grand Regent. That's his name.
right.
Yeah,
Right. Right. Well, he has a name. And
I
there's a
know,
lot
I
of.
know.
There's
Yeah.
I hope there'll be memes about him because there's a really funny meme about him going forward. I hope they
Okay,
do that
okay.
meme.
Hmm.
Or somebody mentioned because it's a really funny meme about him. But yeah, I want to see what they're gonna do with it. Yeah, and how they're gonna play it out. But so far, the little voice, from what little that we got with him is solid stuff. Like yeah, he set up himself to be a badass, especially when with something involving conquest of all
Yes.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So that. So I want to see where they're gonna go with that. And yeah, they're setting up something like solid with him. So he's a great character.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, overall, as you can tell, by our, review here, yeah, we are thoroughly enjoyed the season so far, right? I will close this, right? I don't see myself watching this weekly, right? I will just wait till the entire season ends and then I will just like binge through from episode 1 to 8, right? 'Cause I believe it's 8 episodes again, right? Or I could be wrong, right? But I believe it's
Right.
8, right? But yeah, that's what I'll do because I usually enjoy watching Invincible when it's like a full binge, right? But yeah, animation strong, voice acting strong, action strong, story strong. Mark, boy, why they keep doing this to Mark? I don't understand. Let the boy live, man. Let the boy live, right? But yeah, thoroughly enjoyed the season so far, right? But yeah, Ricardo, any last thoughts on season 4 so far?
Yeah, really strong start. Really enjoyed it. Again, with Invisible, I started to forget that Invisible exists, and then come back into it. Because it's a lot of things I don't remember, but I just like enjoy it for what it is, and it's paced reasonably well. So yeah, I enjoyed it so far.